तू चलता चल तू चलता चल तू चलता चल.
Okay, sir. We have Shivam with us today, who recently got conferenced out. He'll be sharing his experience.
Okay, so hello everyone. This was my third attempt. This was my SSB for CDS 2 2020. Let me tell you something about myself. I am Shivam Shahi. I am from Gorakhpur. I completed my chemical engineering in 2020 from Dehradun. So, and I'm currently working as a subject matter expert at Innovalence Learning Systems. So let us get to the SSB part. On day one, there was a reporting of 35. So the first thing we were made to do was the OIR. The first one was the verbal OIR. There were a total of 75 questions. Time was 43 minutes. So I was able to do about 65, and it did not occur to me that at least I should fill all of them, because there was no negative marking. So the next one was the non-verbal one, and I made sure I did not leave any one blank. I at least marked C, which whenever I got difficulty. At the last, I was able to do it. It was 60 questions and 36 minutes were given. So I marked about 53, 54 I solved, and rest I marked as C. Then came the PPDT. It was a very hazy picture, and only about 50% of the frame was the picture. Rest it was all white and cloudy. So means it was a picture of a crowd. So I made a very mundane story about a village boy whose father runs a fast food stall in the village, and a fair was organized in their village. So he discussed with his father that they should also set up their stall over there. And after his school, he used to help his father in making preparations for the same. He revised the rate list, he added some more items, and their venture turned out to be a success. So there were 35 students. We were divided into groups of 16 and 17 and 18. In my group, 17 people were there. So I was able to narrate it well within time. I was being attentive to what narration people are making, and I was acknowledging them also. After that, means there were mostly stories about Kumbh Mela, coronavirus, and COVID protocols and these kind of things. Mine was something different. After that, as soon as discussion started, it was a repeater batch, hardcore repeater batch. So the hell broke out. Within 10 seconds, we were divided into two groups. And the other group which was there, they went first. They were not able to come to a common conclusion in any manner. My group, we were able to converge upon a certain point. Someone mentioned election rally. I supported him. Yes, we should go with election rally. And then we went about it that our main character, he led by example. He did not do rallies. He went to small scale door to door campaigns and so on. Then we were made to for as towards the end of the discussion, the group was combined again, but no conclusion was drawn, and no common story was made. So after that, 13 people were screened in. Then we filled the PIQ form and everything, and that was the end of day one. Then next day was the psychology test. We reached there by 6:30 or so, but the psychologist arrived at 8. So we were only just sitting there in the Captain Vikram Batra hall, and just making jokes about each other, just keeping the atmosphere light. After that, the psychologist came and briefed us about all the tests individually. TAT started. Most of my stories got finished within 3 minutes 45 seconds, except one or maybe two. And I was able to flex my fingers in between, sir. And very general stories. One story, sir, means there was only a hand holding a whip. So I made a story around a PETA activist, sir, working to ban the use of whip, and so on. After that, it was bat. And bat also, no problem with bat. I did 59. And one I left it deliberately because the word was governor, and I did not want to write governor is a nominal head, so I just left it blank deliberately. I thought that I have done 59, it's enough. So a very common, very small and short sentences like murder. I written punishment of murder should be punitive. Fight for your rights. Then after 2 3 word, the word was right. I again wrote fight for your right and so on. In SRT, I did 53. SDT, I was able to complete within 12 minutes or so. And the leads which we were given were opinion of parents, opinion of employer, employer slash friend, employer slash teacher. I had written employer, opinion of friends, opinion of self, and what type of person would you want to be. So it went fine. I was able to complete it within 12 minutes or so, and I put my pen down. The next day was GTO. It started with the group discussion. So the first topic which we got was what has been affected the most in a positive manner by the Digital India campaign. And the leads were education, economy, and healthcare. So I took the lead of education and I added 3 to 4 points. I did not speak first. I let 2 or 3 people speak first, and after that I gave my point. My points were that when everything had taken a beating in the lockdown, this was the sector that survived and even boomed in it. And many private I mentioned about the involvement of many private players and edtech startups in it. I mentioned that education is mostly the transfer of information, and if the proficiency of anything increases over the digital platform, it is the transfer of information. And after that, the group deviated towards giving the solutions. What all the solution and what are improvements can be made. So I also mentioned that we need to improve participation, and because internet penetration is only 36%, so that should be increased, and to increase participation so that it reaches more people. The other group discussion topic was who is responsible for the in second wave of COVID. Is it the government? Is it the people? Or is it something that there was a third lead? No one took it, so I do not remember. So I took the lead of government, and in this one I went last because sir always says that listen to the instructions carefully. GTO had specifically mentioned that at one person can speak. So I waited for my chance to speak, and it came at last. I did not interrupt anybody. I mentioned I started that their response to the criticism of failures has been to curtail the criticism and not the failures. And something is wrong when someone does that. After that, I mentioned that how there being manipulations of data when there were cases. They used to mention about deaths per million and cases per million, and now during vaccination they're talking about the absolute numbers. And judicial bodies have also let us down, like the Election Commission, Supreme Court, and so on, because they have not checked their activities and the ongoing events like election rallies and Kumbh Mela and so on. And then I mentioned that government is a contractor; it has to make laws on our behalf, and it has not been doing so. And I also mentioned about the lack of cooperation between the state and central government. So that was the end of GD. It was a good GD, means there were only 7 people in the group, so everybody got a chance to speak and no one was interrupting anybody. Then came the GPE. The problem was presented. I wrote the solution in our NFA format. I was able to complete it and then have a good glance at the map for the age of discussion. Now, what the group, my solution was quite different from the solution that the group concluded to. But of the 4 problems, 2 of them were somewhat influenced by me. The main bone of contention was that we had a car, it had broken down, and per the driver was injured. So I was of the opinion that we by the time we repair the car, we can administer first aid to the driver, and then we can take him by our own car. It was a minibus actually. and they were of the opinion, and all the other people of the group were opinion that we should take lift straight away. Now my point was that it is not one person who has to take lift, and there has to be at least 3 to 4 people who will be taking lift. For perspective, most of the cars are 5 seaters, but but they mentioned that yes, we can take lift of from public transport, we can hire a vehicle, we can do Ola and so on. So I yielded to them and I agreed to that. And rest out of the four, about two of the solutions were influenced by me, and we were able to make our story. And we nominated a common. We nominated a person to give the common group story. He gave out the story. The GTO, he did not mention the timings. The GTO asked if anyone wants to add something to it. So I said, yes, sir, I would like to add the timings. He said, okay, no problem. But he did not ask me to. He said, anyone else? People said no, and that was the end of the GP. The next came the progressive group task. We were able to complete all 4 progressive group tasks within time. Good solutions. Everybody was listening to each other, and we were being cooperative. And everybody gave a couple of solutions. I was also able to give 2 or 3 solutions in the mostly in the third and fourth obstacles. And then similarly, at GT also we were divided into groups of 3 and 4. My group had 3 people, and we were able to complete our HGT. Now in HGT, so happened that means it was a starting line, obstacle 1, obstacle 2, and finish line. So while we were tackling with the obstacle 1, I looked behind and saw that we have forgotten our load. So I asked the GTO, sir, do we have to take the load? He did not say anything. I said, what a fool I am. I just went and carried it and came back. So after that, it was a snake race, and we had the group was very cooperative. It was everybody was being vigilant upon everybody else. I repeated the structure of 8 because there was a red color at the junctions of it, and I touched. So one more person did that, and I told him that you should repeat it. He repeated, no problem. Then came the double wall. I went last. I pushed everyone up, and then 2 people pulled me up. Now the 2 walls were joined by were joined by wooden logs, and we had to walk over it. So one person fell down. So we again asked him to repeat. We pulled him up. We made him go first, and then we went. Then came the Great Wall of Allahabad, the 10 feet wall. We were able to do it, and so on. We were able to complete the snake race. Whenever anyone used to do any mistake and broke any rule, we repeated it, and it happened very smoothly. Now came the lecturette, and this is the test that I visually messed up. This is what I think went wrong. My topic was smart cities mission, and I was only able to speak about 90 minutes or so. I went blank after that, and I went and sat on my seat. Individual obstacles, I was able to do 11. Command task, because we had performed well in the PGT and SGT and so on, everybody got a good command task. And out of the remaining 6 people, I was called 3 times. So I witnessed a total 4 of the 7 command tasks, and everybody's command task was about the same difficulty level. Now in my command task, it was a straight command task, starting line, obstacle 1, obstacle 2, finish line. So I was able to tackle with obstacle 1. In obstacle 2 means only 2 people could stand over there. One person was still at obstacle 1. We 2 were at obstacle 2, and then was the finish line. So I thought of sending one person to the finish line and then bringing one person from there. So I had got stuck, and I was not getting ideas. So I asked my subordinate for ideas. He gave it, and he was able to go to the finish line. And I was trying hard to get my other subordinate, but the only where I could think it was red. The GTO said, okay, commander, for 10 seconds that red area is white, and then it was able to get solved by direct bridging. So like that way, the command task concluded. In the final group task also, we did everything well within time. It went smooth. My interview happened on the 4th day.
Shivam, I'll stop you here.
Yes,
We
sir.
will take stock of what all has happened so far, and then you tell about the interview.
Sure, sir.
I have few observations so far in whatever you have told your experience. See, first is that in the OIR, there was no reason for you to have left out those unattempted because there is no negative marking. So, for remember for future, do them complete.
Yes, sir. Sir, sir, it did not occur to me then, sir. I did that in the second
Yeah, you
OIR.
told me. Yeah, you told me. So it should occur to you now. This
Yes,
is
sir.
one. Secondly, is that you left that one sentence. Don't leave a simple sentence is fine on governor. You should have made that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And in the group planning exercise, there was no some thing. Generally, something, some stupid thing is there which people want to do and which we should not be doing. Was it there or not there?
No, sir, no such thing was there. We had to recover a motorcycle, and sir, we could use that motorcycle for other tasks. So there was no stupid thing over there, sir.
Acha was not there. Okay,
No,
okay,
sir.
fine, fine. And the plan presented by the nominated person, was it appropriate?
Yes, sir. The plan was appropriate, sir, but he did not mention anything about the timings of it. So, sir, when GTO said anyone would like to add anything, I said, sir, I would like to add the timings of the plan. He said, okay, okay. Anybody else? Then people said, no, sir.
Okay. So, even before the GTO had said you should have done that, and when the GTO said that you added this thing was very fine. Coming on to the
Sir,
PGT, Hanji boliye.
Sir, means as soon as he finished his plan, GTO asked, sir, so.
Acha, okay. Timeline was not there.
Interrupt him.
Understood. Very fine. So that is absolutely fine. Coming on to the PGT, your group could do the entire complete up to the fourth stage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There was no problem. Acha, same for HGT also.
Yes, sir.
Acha. And in your command task degree of difficulty was what? It was difficult. It was moderate.
Sir, it was moderate, sir. Means all the command tasks, sir, I witnessed 4 out of the 7 command tasks, and sir, all were of more or less the same difficulty.
Same difficulty. Okay.
And sir, almost in all of them, someone or the other had to take some help from the GTO or some help from their subordinates, or they could not do it.
Okay, fine. So I don't have any observations in the psychology or the GTO.
Yeah, good morning, Shivam. I have one thing to ask. Yeah, what was your other 4 topics in lecturette?
My topic was India-Japan relations, smart cities mission, and then it was none of the above. And the 4th one was best day of my life.
None of the above, I didn't get it.
I also didn't get it. That's why I did not speak on it. But I think it was a reference to nota. It's the nota.
No, I presume it would be that you can speak on any topic. So, from the list of topics, what I can discern, first 2 topics were meant for persons who have some general awareness. Now, best day of my life was meant for a person who doesn't know anything. And for someone who couldn't even speak on that, they said none of the above, कुछ भी जैसे बच्चों की नहीं होती कि my cycle and my school ऐसे करके ना.
Sir,
That's my assessment.
Sir, I wasted about 30 minutes in deciphering it. What does this mean? And sir, but then I realized that it must be nota.
Dekho, you should not have wasted that much of time on this. It is a good thing we have come up with this issue. When you could speak on the first 2 topics, which were the most serious topics, you should have picked one, deciding the thing in 30 seconds, and then made your mental plan for that. That would have been a good idea.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Does it seem sensible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what people should be doing. Okay, then move on.
Okay, sir. Now comes the interview. My interview was quite interesting. So initially, since you're 13 people, I was test number 10. The initial interviews went on for only like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, at max 15 minutes. So people were very worried, and this went on till about test number 7. My interview happened just after the day to GTO. I was in my GTO dress only. So I went there. There were two people. I reckon one was a trainee and one was the main IO of the board. So I went. They asked me the meaning of my name, and then I was coming from Ghaziabad. I was staying there for work. So he asked me, "Okay, Shivam, if I come to Ghaziabad, what are the places that we can go over there, and what is the importance of Ghaziabad?" I said, "Sir, the importance is that it is located in the NCR." And sir, it is not no, it does not have any cultural or historical essence to it. And sir, it is only, as I mentioned, it is only important because it is in the NCR. It is an urban setting. And sir, the main places that you can go over there are, sir, restaurants, hotels, malls, and so on. He said, okay, okay. Then means there, it was very, as we know, our interview in SSB is a semi-structured interview. Means the CIQs are asked, and then upon your responses they give other questions. So it was not nothing of that sort. It was very random, and it was based around the PIQ itself. He then asked me, what all exams did you take after class 12 and after graduation? So sir, after class 12th I mentioned about the JE mains, and I could clear it only with 105 marks. 100 was the cutoff. I mentioned about NCHMCT. It is the All India entrance exam for hotel management. I secured All India 81 rank in it. And then I mentioned about other private college engineering entrance exams, and which was one that I went through. I went to UPES Dehradun. Then after graduation, I appeared for many exams. I mentioned about all of them, like bank exams, Delhi Police SI exams, CDS, two CDS exams, CAPF. So he asked me, Shivam, have you decided what do you want to do in life? You have appeared for hotel management, you have appeared for engineering, you have appeared for bank exams, for police, for defense, you are appearing, for the paramilitary, you are appearing. So, sir, I mentioned him that after class 12, I mentioned I appeared for only two exams, two domain of exams. NCHMCT, I appeared because I checked the curriculum. I thought I could do good in it, and I said at least I did good in the exams. I was getting IHM Delhi. And one more motivation for doing it was because it was a 3-year course, and I would get more chances for CDS in case NDA doesn't work out. He said, okay. And after graduation, I said, Ki, sir, it was about March or April the last year. I was unemployed. I was a bit desperate. I had a lot of time at hand. So, sir, I thought of putting that to use and trying my hand at different things. So, sir, I started preparing for, I have good quant and reasoning ability. So, sir, I started preparing for bank exams. I appeared in 3 of them and cleared 2 of them, the prelims of 2 of them. I cleared Delhi Police SI prelims. The PET is next month. And I cleared 2 CDS exams. CAPF I did not clear. And sir, but at that time I was a bit desperate because I was unemployed. But sir, now I am employed and I have a job at hand. And now, sir, I would not be appearing for bank exams because after having taken the prelims, I went for the mains and realized it would require more serious preparation. I do not think it is worth it now. So he said, okay, 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 okay. He said, and what is your backup? I told him that, sir, what I am doing right now is my backup, and I want to work in the core production field of coal chemical production field. I will apply for it. I will try to get into it. He said, okay, okay. Then he came to friends. So he said, who is your best friend? I said, sir, I am not comfortable with the idea of one best friend. I think different friends connect with, associate with different aspects of our lives. And similarly, sir, I have many good friends. He said, which is the friend who talk the most to? I said, sir, the friend I am the most connected to is so and so, and he lives in Jaipur. I told a few things about him. He then said, okay, what advice do you give him? So, sir, I said, ki, sir, he is a kind of a rowdy. He picks up fight very easily. So, sir, I tell him to refrain from it. Then, sir, he wanted me to mention any incident as such, sir. So I mentioned that he used to pick up. He was a volleyball player, the vice captain of the college team. So he used to pick up fights with football or basketball guys. Sometimes the volleyball guys himself. And sir, sometimes I had to step in for mediation. He said, okay, okay, what advice does he give you? So sir, I mentioned that I was while I was appearing for interviews, job interviews, striving for job interviews. I was not getting selected because invariably they used to ask me, "Ki, what is your aim in life?" And I always used to mention that I want to work for a cause bigger than myself and I'm a defense aspirant. And sir, I never made it past the interview. So sir, he told me that he made me realize that understand that different jobs have different means different job have different requirements. Get out of this SSB mode and say what the interviewer wants to hear. You know that very well. So sir, in the when I compared for the company I am in right now, they again asked me what is my aim in life. I told them that I want to work in the core production domain, and because this is the field that has taken the one of the hardest blows from the pandemic. I want to join this. Means this is the field of education which I am in now. So, sir, I want to join this field because at least I will be in subject. I will be in touch with my subjects. So the interviewer said, "So you basically got your way through by lying." I said, "Sir, not lying exactly. That is what I would do in the future. Try for core production domain, as I already mentioned it." He said, "Okay, okay." Then sir, he came on the family. He asked about my mother. He directly went on to ask, what are the two things you do not like about your mother? So sir, my mother is an auricular therapist. So I told him that her mood depends upon how many patients she has seen in the day. And I tell him her not to worry about it because that is something which is not in her control. So she should let that part of it go. And the second thing, she gets preachy at times, and I do not like it. So he started laughing and he said, "Okay, I understand kids your age do not like being preached. Okay, Shivam, what are the things your father does that? What are the two things your father does that irritates you?" I said, "Sir, my father is a very chilled out person. He's the most bothering person most non-bothering person that I have seen. And also, sir, because we spend very less time together, nothing he does that irritates me. I like spending time with him and getting the most out of it." So, sir, he asked what activities you do with him. Sir, he was not letting me complete my answers. He just checked me. Okay, okay. So, what activities you do with him? I said, "Sir, he is a very learned man. He has a good knowledge and a good sense of humor. I like talking to him." And sir, I was mentioning other things, sir, like watering the plants, going to the fields, and so on. My father is a farmer. Going to the fields and so on, sir, he did not let me complete. Then, sir, he came to hobbies. Hobbies, sir, I had written chess. So he asked me, "When did you play last time?" I said, "Sir, last night." With whom? Sir, with chess number 12. And sir, I mentioned that, "Sir, I am undefeated till now in the SSB." He said, "Okay, okay." He asked me a couple of terms. He asked me the stalemate. Then he asked me castling. Then he asked me gambit. I was not able to answer gambit. Then he asked me, "Who is the father of chess?" I said, "Sir, I play, but I do not follow it." He said, "Okay, okay." Then in my hobbies, I've already also written massaging. So means there's a long story to it. So he just adjusted his spectacles and said, "Is it messaging?" And I said, "No, no, sir, it is massaging only." So two of them were there. They both started looked at each other and started laughing. And that was the first time the main senior interviewer said something. He said, I've been interviewing for 2.5 years. I've never come anything across this. Tell me something across like this. Tell me something about it." So sir, I mentioned that I was the youngest member of the family. I was a naughty child. So to keep me engaged, the male members of my family used to ask me to press their legs and so on. And sir, I picked up that hobby habit. And sir, I started getting good at it. And now I do it very often to all the members of my family. He said, "Okay, okay. Do you massage females also?" I said, "Sir, half of all people are females. It is quite obvious that I must be massaging females also." He said, "Who all?" I said, sir, everybody from my grandmother to my sister. He said, okay, okay, okay. And sir, then he asked, who all do you do in males? I said, sir, mostly members of my family, but in my college I also used to do, sir, sports physiotherapy and so on. And if any friend got injured or any team player or any sports player got injured, I used to help them with it, to relieve them with it. He then took the interview to a different direction. He said we became quite serious. He said, Shivam, you are a mature person. You look to be a mature person. Do you realize what all things are going behind the cloak of massaging in India and the world? I said, sir, that is your perspective, and the perspective of the people, and perspectives are not facts, and I'm not affected by it. So he said, no, no, not perspective. You know what things are going on now? I said, yes, sir, I know, but I came to know very late. I've been doing this since I was a child. And sir, it is just unfortunate that it is happening. But sir, I do not think it is a reason strong enough to make me quit it. I like it. I like relaxing my family, being of some use to my family, and it also gives me a sense of individuality. He said, okay, okay. So that was it. Then he came to defense questions. He asked me the rank structure. He asked me, okay, which post will you join, and tell me the post upward. Sir, I've mentioned the rank structure of the army, lieutenant upwards. He then asked me, what is the equivalent of brigadier in the air force. So sir, I had learned it bottom upwards, so I took time. I counted on my fingers and then I told him. And he then asked me the rank structure below lieutenant. So sir, I mentioned that, sorry sir, I don't know. Then sir, how many aircrafts does India have? I said it has only one working aircraft. How many aircraft carriers does India have? I said, sir, it has only one operational, INS Vikramaditya. Then he asked me about the transport aircrafts of the Air Force. So I only mentioned, sir, I know only one. It is the C-17 Globemaster. He asked me, how do you know about this one? So, sir, I mentioned that once it had landed in my city, Gorakhpur, and that I heard and I remember that. He said, okay, okay. After that, he asked me what are the guns used by the army. I mentioned that, sir, I know too. Many of the units use INSAS and the Rashtriya Rifles uses AK-47. He said, what is the Rashtriya Rifles? I do not know anything about it. Sir, I mentioned that it is the counter-insurgency unit of the Indian Army, and it operates at many areas in the JNK, and it has different names, Alpha, Delta, I mentioned couple of them. And every regiment is expected to maintain 2 Rashtriya Rifles battalion, and they serve over there means in rotation. He said, okay, okay. Then he asked me about the arms of the army. Which arm will you join? I said, sir, I want to join the army. He said, what are the other two preferences? I said, sir, I only want to join the infantry. Rest, anything that I get. Then he asked me to elaborate upon that, the combat arms, the supporting arms, and the services. I was able to tell. Then he asked me, what do you know about the corps of engineers? I told him what I knew, that they ensure the machinations of the army work smoothly, sir, destroying, making bridges in difficult terrain, destroying the enemy's bridges, destroying the enemy's landmines, and so on. He said, how can you use chemical engineering in the corps of engineers? I said, I thought a bit, and I said, sir, I don't think chemical engineering has much application on the field. It is a production based engineering. Maybe, sir, if we venture into chemical warfare and so on, might be useful in the DRDO. But on the field, I do not think it is of much use. And that is why the TGC and SSC Tech have no seats for chemical engineering. He said, okay, okay. After that, he asked me national and international news, 3 each. I told 2 international news. He said, okay, next. Then I mentioned 2 national news. He said, okay, next. He did not let me complete. Then he came upon my job. So he said, how did you get your job? I said, sir, I was applying. for many jobs, for almost all jobs. I was applying for jobs to Naukri.com, different jobs, and I used to get a call for interview. I just appeared in it in the similar fashion, and I got through it. Then he asked me to elaborate upon it. Then I mentioned that, sir, my post is of a subject matter expert, chemical engineering. We are expected to work upon two projects. One is the online project wherein we are expected to solve questions on an online portal called the Bartleby, and we are expected to solve about 6 to 7 questions per day. And there is another offline project in which we have to make study material for US students. So he started with the online project. Okay, what are problems do you face? I said, sir, the only problem which I face is not being well versed with that subject, but we have one resource at hand, that is time. And sir, if within 1 hour or 45 minutes of searching for it and studying it, most of the questions I'm able to solve. He said, okay, okay. Then he came to the offline project. He said, what is your target? What are your target students? I said, sir, chemical engineering students of the USA. So he started grilling that you yourself are a graduate, you are not a postgraduate. How are you able to make study material? I said, sir, we have the access to the open domain. We have the plethora of information, the entirety of information at our fingertips, and we are given some guidelines. We follow it and make the study materials. So he said, basically you cheat, and anyone can do it. Why does the company require you? Why are they employing you? I said, sir, that is a question for the company to answer. I do what I get told to do. And sir, they were the fact that matters is they were employing, and I capitalized upon it and got employed. He said, okay, okay. Then he came to chemical engineering, and he asked me what are the technologies used in making liquid oxygen. So, sir, I mentioned that all the liquefaction of nitrogen and air follows the Linde's liquefaction principle. He said, no, no, not principle, the technologies. I was, sir, I don't know about the technologies. The technologies, sir, are come up. The technologies are made to come up with to increase the efficiency, but the basic process is the same. Then he asked me Carnot cycle versus Linde cycle. Carnot cycle, I was able to tell. Linde cycle, I mentioned that, sir, I only know that it is a gas liquefaction cycle, and it is used to convert nitrogen and oxygen to liquid. Then he asked me, how is dry ice made? So very simple. The answer is the freezing liquid carbon dioxide, and that through a reverse heat pump. But I thought that he is expecting some more technical answer. I mean, I knew this, but I said, sir, I do not know. And when I came back, I searched it. Actually, the answer was this only. Then he asked me, what is dry ice? Do you know that much? I said, yes, sir, solid carbon dioxide. He said, okay, okay. Then he asked me to elaborate upon my routine. So I mentioned my routine well, that, sir, I wake up at 6 a.m. and go for running, come back at 7, relax, for use social media for a little time. Then I go fetch my sister at the metro. I start my work at 9. I finish it at 5. I lay down for some time. Then I wait for my sister's call and fetch her from the metro. Uh, then I go to the gym, and so on, so on. I came to the 9 a.m. 9 p.m. routine. I mentioned that, sir, 4 days a week. I have my session. I am enrolled in a guidance program, and remaining 3 days a week I go to play volleyball. Sir, as soon as I mentioned this guidance program, he started noting something very vigorously. So both of them became very attentive. He said, elaborate about it. What is it? How is it? What is this coaching you are into? I said, sir, I will be doing it at this service. If I call it a coaching, it is a guidance program by Colonel Col Nehru. And sir, I had been following him since 2017 on Quora. I found his method of approach very practical and basic. And sir, it made sense to me. He says that you will be selected when you are fit for selection, and the best way to make yourself fit for selection is to increase your competence, lead an effective life. And his focus is 95% on increasing effectiveness and only 5% on SSB. So he said, what are the things that he pointed out in your first interaction? I mentioned that, sir, I was very insecure about my marks in college. And sir, he told me that you are a grown-up person now. Leave that thing behind and focus on getting employed. He said, yes, I can see your marks 90.8% in 10th, 91% in 12th, 58% in college. I said, yes, sir. Coming from a very restrictive and strict guardianship, I could not handle freedom well. So, sir, but sir, I would also not discount upon my part of sheer negligence. Sir, in the initial years, I only played badminton and nothing else. And I started doing a marks-oriented study very late. So he said, okay, so you did not study before that. I said, sir, I studied, sir, but somehow I was not able to get marks. I was not able to solve questions in the exam. And sir, I was not able to plan a good method of approach towards study. And sir, in the initial years, I had many backlogs. And after that, the aim was at least not to get backlogs. He said, okay. And that was it. That was the end of the interview. After that came the conference. In conference, I was made to sit about 10 to 12 minutes. And those who were recommended, two of the three people that were recommended, they were also made to sit about the same time. I went there. He asked me, okay, Shivam, if I come to Gorakhpur, which all places will you take me? Sir, I mentioned everything about it. Then he asked me, okay, what sport is Gorakhpur famous for? I said, sir, it is famous for badminton. We had Syed Modi, and he was a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in men's singles. And sir, it is also the sports I play. Then he asked me what all other activities you are involved in. Sir, I mentioned volleyball and cricket. I am a bowler. And sir, then sir, general questions, suggestion, improvement. I said, no, sir, thank you. And at final, 3 people were selected. So that was it, sir.
Thanks a lot, Shivam. Okay, a few points I have is you see what happens. Overall, I would say Shivam is a very suitable candidate for being recommended. There are hardly any things which are needing any serious improvement. It's pretty okay. He's fit for selection. So that's the major thing. Now, coming on to the minor issues, what probably has happened is he would have got cleared by the psychologist and the GTO. The thing is, the doubt would have come with the interviewing officer, and the interviewing officer in particular because of his academic track record in college, because low marks, backlogs, and such like stuff. And then little bit of addition on that Linde's cycle he could not tell well. Then dry eyes, a pretty simple thing he could not answer. So that would have created doubts in his mind about his present level of competence. So this would be the only issues. Otherwise, there are no issues. Probably his case may have been discussed in the conference also, and interviewing officer may have felt that he is still not suitable to be cleared. So these are the things. The aspect which he told that he's about this massaging. Then the aspect about that he got the job by telling the hiring person there who interviewed him what he wanted to hear is absolutely fine. That's the practical thing in the corporate world. It doesn't work on truths like the SSB. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. So this is my assessment of whatever has transpired. Now my advice to Shivam would be to continue working the same way he has been working, and with better focus on his job, more focus on the general awareness. Next time he should be through. He's a sports person, he's physically fit, there are no issues. And he was pretty calm and composed in answering. He didn't come under any kind of pressure. These are good things. He should continue these things and not take pressure next time also. And I think things should work out.